Good morning and welcome to a rather overcast day. Now nothing illuminates the forecourt like a limonite yellow eCitan, a fully electric van from Mercedes Benz. I'm Ben Quirk, welcome to Planet Auto. It's amazing how many manufacturers are getting into the full swing of electric powertrains, especially in the commercial sector. Now we've driven the eVito, we've driven the eSprinter, but we've never driven an eCitan. Now Sprinters, Vitos and Vianos have been around since, well, the early years. And then you go back to the classic commercial Mercedes Benz, awesome looking motors. But when it came to smaller vans, well, they've been rather thin on the ground. Now Citan launched in 2021, but there is one big difference between this and the Mercedes Benz variants. This, well, essentially, it's a Renault Kangoo. So the powertrain is straight out of a Renault van. Same with the shared platform. But Mercedes Benz have certainly put their mark on it. Everything from the grille to the LED lamps to the interior that looks like a rather swish Mercedes car. But that's what you've noticed in the last few years, that commercial vehicles are more like offices on wheels. This has heated seats, a centre armrest, USBs, DAB radio, navigation, parking sensors, cameras, and the list goes on. These are equipped like any decently spec car. So you get a 45 kilowatt battery, 170 miles. Now it may not be the biggest battery in the world, but for example I took this to Morecambe the other day completely empty. It's about 22 miles round trip and I used 10 miles. Speed of charging, 75 kilowatts. Not bad for a van. Now the biggest challenge for Mercedes-Benz is pricing people out of their diesel vans, which are proper workhorses. I've driven various diesel vans for years. Now yes, it is a bit of a transition moving from a diesel van to an electric van. It's got things like driving modes. It'll tow up to 1.4 tons. When you put it in D, you're about as close to a diesel van that you can be in an electric van. Now I wax lyrical about electric vans all the time. Well, electric in general. Yes, it has its place. If you've got a Type 2 charger at home, you're made. Otherwise, yeah, you will be paying a premium, especially on Type 2s and Rapids all around the country. But the government need to step in and make this kind of thing a more attractive proposition. Now with Mercedes-Benz, you do get £1,000, I think it's like a levy on charging. Prices and trims. Well, you can pick up a Citan for around £21,000, but that's diesel and manual. Now this starts at around £35,000. I don't think that's a bad price for an electric van. However, you can option it up to the hilt. Now this fully loaded with limonite yellow, which incidentally costs you nothing, would be a touch under 40 grand. But for that, you get alloys, colour-coded bumpers, a full safety suite, and even things like a centre armrest. Now bear in mind it's a commercial vehicle, so this all excludes VAT. Also, when it comes to warranty, it's unlimited mileage, and that's for 3 years. That's pretty damn good. If you like this type of video, why not subscribe to the channel? You just hit the button on the right hand side. It's free and you'll get an alert every time we upload. Also, if you do like the video, why not give it a like? It all helps and it means we can get more cars. Thank you. Now we've already established that this shares a platform with the electric Kangaroo. But what Mercedes-Benz have done to make it, well, their own is slats, big Mercedes badge, and wouldn't be a Merc without that. I do like the colour-coded elements, especially with the additions of black. It just makes it stand out. You can see various safety there and there. It's such a clean design. The way the bonnet tucks down here and then just flows around. Lots of lovely curvature. You get a well-spec'd van, regardless of which trim you go for, base, pro or select. We get LED lights with high beam assist. These have got a decent throw. Front fogs and even vents. This especially appeals the Diamond-esque and a rather sporty lip spoiler. No front camera, but you do have parking sensors. Now you can get a full parking sensor and camera pack, or you could just go for the rear. There's also maintenance packages, lighting packages, spec your van as you see fit. Decent ride height, and it does look slick with the 8-spoke alloys. It's got a real presence, electric. And we've seen that on eVito and eSprinter. Apart from that, you can't really tell it's electric. You can get power folding adjustable door mirrors, or you can get heated adjustable door mirrors. Nice to see a quarter light. Also, it's pretty good so you can see down there. In vans, you want as much vision as possible, especially as you've got no mirror and you've got a bulkhead. Mind you, you do have the option of a reversing camera. Colour-coded door handles, and just overall a really clean looking business style van. Now we've got a panel van, we're likely to see an L2 soon, a crew van and the Tourer. No side skirts, just clean, like it. Let's take a look inside. Now, no keyless entry, however on the key, a number of buttons. We'll go into that a little later. Wow, 90-degree opening doors. Hard plastics. Thing is, a van has to be built to be robust, easy to clean. It would have been nice to see a padded armrest, but in a commercial vehicle you can see why not. Well constructed, decent door pocket and a big speaker. You've got your electric windows and your adjustment. Climbing in, quite literally child's play. Now bear in mind, if you're Annabelle, don't open the door this far, otherwise you're going to be reaching for miles and miles and miles. Even at my height of 6'3", it's a fair reach. It's like stepping into a car. Now the new cars may have the big screens, but when you think back to say 2 or 3 years ago, you had clusters like this. You had the infotainment screen. Even things like the retro vent styling and the lovely Mercedes Benz shifter. Look at this for a steering wheel. You just wouldn't expect to see this in a van. Everything's hard, but once again, commercial vehicle. You've got your armrest, you've got your auto lights, electronic handbrake down here. Interesting not to see it on the floor. This is all Mercedes parts, and you can tell it's got a level of refinement. So you've got your auto lights here, front and rear fogs, heated steering wheel, and also a button for charging. Screen demister button, and you can open your charging flap with this button here. There's also a button on the key fob too. Seat manual, but you've got height adjustment. Here's a little lever on this side for your lumbar. Ooh, proper construction. You do get the echo, but it's a panel van, makes sense. Speaking of this, now we've got a plastic bulkhead, but you could also get, say, a window, and there's other various configurations. If you visit Mercedes-Benz vans, you'll see that there's a heck of a lot of variety for the Citan and the eCitan. I love the unusual shaping of the dash and the way it juts down. The shaping round here, and this is a decent quality. Yeah, down here it's more solid, but once again, for robustness. Easy to clean, and there's airbags throughout, including one that drops down here so you don't clock your passenger if there's a side collision. I mean, you've got your cup holders, you've even got a wireless charging pad, you've got stowing areas here, overhead storage, haha, immense, and it goes all the way to about here, perfect. All this is nicely housed so you can't start like, oh dear, I've popped a bulb out, and it's about that deep, so you can get a fair few bucks up there. I wouldn't be putting anything like weights from the gym because it will be strong, you can pull on it pretty hard, but it will have its limits. But yeah, decent construction. Nice to see it's got a light headliner, but yeah, when it comes to seats, they're black, Norwich black. Now the one thing I look for in a van, and that's a comfortable seat, and this, it's rather firm and it's very supportive. It's easy to clean and maintain, but it's comfortable for a long journey. Love the retro styling, chrome surrounds and lots of piano black. Not the biggest screen, but it's nice to see a digital screen full stop. Satellite navigation, DAB radio, and some of the car's settings. Relatively responsive, and if you press, say, eCitan, you can see your consumption. So it tells you what your heating and cooling's doing, what your driving's doing, and then tells you your MP, KWH. So you can see exactly what your powertrain's doing and what all your other auxiliary systems are doing. Owner's manual and home button up there. You can install apps, and we can see some of the settings. Automatic locking, cat meowing, great driving position, big windscreen, and lots of good visibility. I mean, just look at the size of the mirrors. Shifter, nice and straightforward, park, reverse, neutral, drive. It would have been nice to see this illuminated, but to be honest, it does show you at the bottom of the cluster. On the left hand side, you can see your speedo, and there's your battery meter at the bottom. On the right hand side, you can see what your powertrain's doing. So you've got charge, economy, and boost. And yes, it does have a dynamic mode. It's nice and easy to navigate your cluster, and you just operate it with the buttons on the steering wheel here. Decent switchgear, lovely rotaries, digital readouts, heated seats, and we've got the park assist package too. It's great to see rotaries and proper buttons. So your camera, your navigation. So there's shortcuts. You don't need to do everything through the screen. Proper volume button. Start engine stop button here. Interested to see they've still used the word engine. High voltage battery reserve level. So that just means that we need to charge. And if I tap that, it will then route it to the nearest charger. Perfect. That's the other thing about vans nowadays. They didn't really have what you call a lot of safety. Now they've got something that compares to a car. Lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, and everything in between. Not surprising to have aircon, but you've got dual zone. Decent height. What's that? 4-inch? And if I start pumping my seat, I can either go up. Now, it would have been nice to see this padded, but it has storage, so happy with that. You've got your call assist SOS system. Another one here with a phone and a spanner. Map reading lights. USBs down here and a 12 volt. All in all, it's well equipped. I almost forgot. Isofix points. Glove box. Yeah, it's not the biggest, but to be honest, you've got a nice stowing point here. And it's not lockable, but that is an option. And I think that's your lot. I almost forgot. One of the things that Mercedes Benz has been known for many, many years, including Dorothy, our C124, is the one stalk does everything. So, there is no stalk on this side. You've got reach and rake adjustment in the steering wheel, and it has cruise control. This is where you'd fill it with diesel and you put your AdBlue. So where is the charging point? Well, it's at the front. As I mentioned, you can operate it from a button on the dash, or you can hold down the button on the key fob. Sturdy enough flap, and you've got a light. Now, it's not just so you can see, it also goes green, orange, red, etc., dependent on state of charge and whether it recognises charger, etc., etc. Rapid charge, 75 kilowatts, not bad. Also an onboard charger of 22 kilowatts. You're talking around 38 minutes for 80% on the rapid. Type 2, about 6.5 hours. That's for a 7 kilowatt wall box. Also, when it comes to the Type 2, check with your dealer to see if you'll get one with the van. No doubt you can finagle one. So we've only got one of the sliding doors. Nice flow. Not too heavy either. No step, but that makes perfect sense with a smaller van. We've got a Type 2 and a lovely case that's tethered to tethering points. Now, it's not the biggest access point, but you don't expect it to. In things like this in a caddy, this is what you get. Now you can see that the bulkhead juts out. Now I think it's 1.25 meters high and around 1.6 meters long. Now standard, you get a plastic floor. However, if you want to be really swish, you could go for a wooden floor and then have the rest of it all panelled too. Now you can get a sliding door on the other side and you can get a window. Interestingly, only on that side. The doors go to this, they won't go any further. Releasing this side, pop in this little toggle here, and there you go. Decent opening. Because of the height, it means you quite easily get a pallet in here and then some. Load limit is around 450 kilograms. Now that will affect range. However, it won't affect range as much as you'd expect. If this was say 700-800 kilos, then you would see a noticeable difference. When we've driven vans with say 300-400 kilograms of gravel, it affects the range far less than you'd expect. Tethering points on the side, and you've got an interior light. Black plastic trim, colour-coded rear bumper, two-tone, very Mercedes, love it. High-level brake light, and yes, no tow bar, but it is an option. This will tow up to 1,450 kilos, dependent on which trim, and that's with the brake trailer. We've got partial LED lights, and the way that these shine at night, it does make it far safer. As we've got the parking pack, it's finished off nicely with parking sensors and a reversing camera. Let's take a look under the bonnet. Now it's Mercedes Benz, so I'm thinking actually it's also Renault, so it could be on either side. We've got lever here, pull once, and the release is here, just push left. And it's on struts. Very self-explanatory electric powertrain. Nice and easy to see where to top up fluids, and everything that's important is highlighted in the colour. Now let's see how it drives. Welcome behind the wheel. of the new Mercedes Benz eCitan, fully electric van you can get as a diesel and a petrol depending on region. 45 kilowatt hour battery and 122 brake horsepower. And to be honest, it's got enough pull for what it needs. And yes, you do get a dynamic mode. It's pretty quick. The other thing is, it's not the widest van. It's very practical, sliding doors, etc. But when you're on roads like this, it's pretty good. And the turning circle's not too big either. Decent visibility throughout and lots of safety. Things like collision detection, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, etc, etc. Now yes, road noise. I mean, they're not the best maintained roads around here anyway, but it's a van. You can refine to a level, but the bottom line is behind you, you've got metal panels. Now it will dull it a little with some wood, but yeah, you're going to get it. It does quieten down quite significantly when you get it on a decent bit of tarmac. Now we're currently just in drive mode, but you'll notice you've got drive minus and drive plus. And drive plus heavies up the regen. Drive essentially gives you diesel van experience, which a lot of people who've been priced out of their diesel vans will want. And D minus, that's coasting. So when you're on long hills, instead of using power, you can just coast and regen as you go. Straightforward to see what's happening with the cluster too. Charge, economy, boost. Got the temperature and I can see my range, 22 miles. It's got a decent ride. It's rather refined for a van. It's comfortable. It kind of ambles along and there's no big bangs and clunks or anything like that. It's just, no, it's a well put together little van. Now range, 170 miles. They claim 176. Now when it's empty, it's probably pretty damn good. Well, it is. I took it to Morecambe the other day. 22 miles, I used 10 to 11 miles to do that distance. Now when you put a load in it, yeah, it's bound to change, but with a 450 kilogram limit, it won't be as bad as you expect. So when you get it on the motorway, yeah, you will see your range drop. But if you can hold between 55 and 60, it's not too bad at all. Suspension, comfortable. Now, how is it as a passenger?
It's very comfortable.
Yeah.
I expected a bit more of body roll, but you held really well, even when the van's empty.
Body roll, I mean, coming around here, slight bit, but you would expect it to bank, and it isn't.
The fans and the demisting work really quickly. That's a positive.
There's a lot of positives with this van, to be honest. Safety, range, practical.
Looks, refinement.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're not used to driving electric vans compared to a diesel, you do get used to it quite quickly. It's a bit strange at first because all of a sudden you zip and you're like, it's instant power. You'll get used to it rather quickly. And then after that, you'll be like, ooh, right, okay, so this is what a heavy regen feels like. This is what a light regen feels like. You couple that with lovely, it's not the weightiest steering, but it's got a good feel to it. And it's quite precisive too. Good feedback. The whole setup is very good. It's a van that ticks a lot of boxes in Annabelle's words. And pulling up hills, it can whoosh. And if you keep it in dynamic, it will blaze your range. And you do notice a difference when you pull it out of that mode. You can have a bit of fun too. And yeah, it's all about that with me. When I was a van driver, the roads I'd find. Vans have come a long way. And also starting at, what was it, 35,000. That seems a good price. Don't forget that warranty. 3 years unlimited mileage around rural villages. They just fit in. To select D minus and D plus, you put it in drive by doing this, and then so that's minus, and back is D, and then back again is D plus, and it reflects here. So on that whole journey, we used 1 mile and did around 2.5, I'd say.
Actually, Ben, the circumference of the village is 3. I used to power walk it.
Of course. So we've used 1 mile to do 3 with 2 up, and that was a variety of driving as well.
Yeah.